For Ling Xun, Xiao Danren's attitude was not only admiration, but even faintly admired. A 13-year-old boy was able to turn corruption into magic with the way of spiritual patterns, and help them sweep away the scourge in the spiritual field. This alone is enough to be moved and respected. But through these few days of contact, Xiao Danren discovered that this thin and handsome young man has a mind and courage that surpasses that of his peers. Being able to infer many things from one's own words is not something that ordinary people can do. In addition, Ling Xun's fighting ability is quite good, which makes Xiao Danren feel even more incredible, which also makes him sure that Ling Xun's origin is not destined to be simple. Silently pondering in his heart for a moment, Xiao Danren sighed. "You are right, if Lian Rufing and the others come back, Feian village will inevitably encounter a big storm. So within this period of time, I will make some preparations." At the end, there was a touch of determination in his voice. When Ling Xun saw this, he didn't say any more, and said goodbye immediately. But at this moment, a child next to him suddenly said, "Village chief, Uncle Luting is gone. Are you still practicing martial arts today?" Xiao Tani was stunned, thinking in his heart that Luting had suffered such a blow. How could he have the face to give instructions to you to practice martial arts? Immediately, he suddenly remembered that Ling Xun had said a few days ago that there were some mistakes and omissions in the marching fist practiced by these children. If it was used to strengthen the body, it would be fine, but it would be harmful to future practice. Thinking of this, Xiao Danren looked at Ling Xun, hesitated for a moment, and finally said, "Ling Xun, can you spare some time every day to help guide these children to practice martial arts?" Swish. The eyes of the children next to them all turned to Ling Xun. There was curiosity and a hint of expectation on the young face. They had just seen with their own eyes that Ling Xun defeated Luting in the blink of an eye, and that scene also shocked them. Children who are only 7 or 8 years old, although they don't know the reason, they can tell who is strong and who is weak. Since Ling Xun can defeat Luting, it is natural that Ling Xun is more powerful. In addition, after witnessing Ying Luo's tragic experience, these children were extremely afraid of Luting and wished to change to another master who taught them martial arts. Ling Xun glanced at everyone, and smiled bitterly at Xiao Danren and said, "I've only just stepped into the practice, and I'm only ignorant, so I'm not qualified to be a teacher." But immediately he changed his words. "However, if it's just teaching marching boxing, I can help a little bit." Xiao Danren laughed and said, "That's enough. I won't let you work in vain, and you will also have a share of the materials exchanged in the village in the future." When the children saw Ling Xun's promise, they all cheered. Ling Xun was only 13 years old, and he was not a few years older than them. In addition to his strength, these children were quite looking forward to following Ling Xun's practice. Ling Xun smiled and accepted the order happily. After a brief discussion with Xiao Danren, he decided to wait until all the pests in the spiritual fields in the village were cleaned up. The practice of children in the village. There was no further delay. Ling Xun hurried back home. He still remembered the mysterious portal in his mind, and eagerly wanted to explore the mystery. Feian village was not big at first. When Ling Xun returned home, all the villagers already knew what happened in the martial arts field today. For a while, many villagers were a little angry, feeling that Luting was too ruthless. If it wasn't for Ling Xun to stop him, the little 6 sons of Yingyao's family would have been broken. At the same time, the villagers also had a new understanding of Ling Xun, and only then did they know that Ling Xun was not only a spiritual apprentice, but also had a lot of strength in martial arts, at least that Luting was not an opponent. This surprised the villagers. Only Luting's heart was gloomy, extremely unwilling and angry, and he almost hated Ling Xun to the bottom of his heart. At this moment, he was drinking at home. Opposite to Luting, there was a thin and sturdy man in grey, with dark skin and bright eyes like a falcon. This person is Qian Chi, who is second only to Lian Rufing's powerhouse in the village. He has the cultivation level of the Kaifu level of the third level of martial arts. He is sinister and cruel. You can cut off your long whip with one knife. It can be seen that the knife in this son's hand should also be a treasure. Shi groaned. Lu Ting's long whip was made of the spine and tendons of the fierce beast-water ferocious leopard, and it was tanned with 100 refined gold wire. Although it was not a treasure, it was extremely flexible, and it was difficult for ordinary swords to cut it off. From this, it can be judged that the knife in Lin Xun's hand is definitely not an ordinary thing. Of course I know this. If the knife in this son's hand is too sharp, how could I have suffered such a big loss? Lu Ting said angrily, when he remembered the failure he suffered in front of everyone's eyes. He felt like a fire was burning in his heart, and he wanted to go mad. A little boy who not only understands the spirit pattern seal carving method, but also possesses the cultivation of the second realm of true martial arts and a treasured saber. It's really weird. Chi frowned. Can you find out the origin of this little guy? Lu Ting shook his head and said, listen to that bad old man Xiao Tanren saying that this kid came to Feian village on his own initiative, and no one knows his origin. Chi sneered. Do you also believe this statement? Lu Ting was stunned for a moment, and then he gritted his teeth and said, are you saying that this old man Xiao Tanren deliberately concealed the origin of this little thing? Chi smiled and said nothing. Lu Ting was angry. This old thing. I didn't expect to dare to play this kind of conspiracy with us. Chi squinted his eyes, like a poisonous snake hiding in the dark. Don't worry. It's not too late to solve this old thing when Lian Rufing and the others come back. The most urgent thing is to wipe out this kid Lin Xun first. Lu Ting was refreshed, just waiting for your words. If you don't get rid of this child, it is indeed a hidden disaster. When are you going to take action? Chi drank a glass of wine slowly, and said softly, it's not appropriate to tear up your face with Xiao Tanren now, so that the other party will not jump over the wall, so we can only find a good time to kill this Lin Xun. Lu Ting frowned. How long will it wait? Chi smiled and said, do you still remember the spiritual field of Sun Mazi's house in the village? Lu Ting said without hesitation, of course I remember, just under the hillside more than 20 miles away from the village. On the other side is the Lian Mountain. Chi nodded and said, yes. As far as I know, in about 5 days, this Lin Xun will set off with Sun Mazi to help eradicate the pests in the Lingshan. Lu Ting understood immediately, and said in surprise, you mean to do it on that day? Chi smiled and said, isn't this a good opportunity? At that time, we will lead Sun Mazi away first, and then you and I will take action, kill this Sun together, and throw his body directly into the abandoned mine at the bottom of Lian Mountain. Who knows what we did then? Even if Xiao Tanren asks, we can say we don't know anything. Lu Ting grinned and said, then wait for another 5 days. After 5 days, I will bury this little thing's body with my own hands. In the house, as soon as Lin Xunfu returned, he sat cross-legged and adjusted his breath until there was no more distracting thoughts in his mind, and then he turned his consciousness to the mysterious blood-colored portal in his mind. Boom! In just a moment, Lin Xun felt his whole body tremble, as if struck by lightning. His consciousness became blurred, as if his body no longer belonged to him. When Lin Xun woke up, he realized that he had come to an unfamiliar space. It was pitch black and silent, as if he could not feel the passage of time. And at the foot, there is a straight avenue leading to the distance. This avenue seems to be formed by the gathering of blue clouds, which is extremely mysterious. And at the end of Kinyan Avenue, there is a blood-colored portal. The portal seems to have opened up in nothingness. It is 10 feet high and the whole body is red, as if it has just been salvaged from the sea of blood, and it is like a portal to hell. Shocking. Unfamiliar space, straight Kinyan Avenue, and a bloody mysterious portal standing in nothingness. It's all so real. absolutely phantasmagorical. Lin Xun took a few deep breaths and tried to calm down. Only then did he realize that the blood-colored portal at the end of Kinyan Avenue was exactly the same as the mysterious portal that appeared in his mind. Vaguely, Lin Xun has roughly judged that the reason why he appeared here must have a lot to do with the mysterious portal that appeared in his mind. So what secrets are hidden here? Is there a crime here that can change one's life against the sky? Lin Xun pondered for a long time, finally shook his head, abandoned the distracting thoughts in his heart, stepped out, and wanted to walk to the mysterious blood-colored portal to find out. It's just that he just took a step, and he heard a strange humming sound spread from the Kinyan Avenue under his feet. The wave was so obscure, it swept up and down Lin Xun's like a ripple, and disappeared immediately. Immediately, a foot in front of Lin Xun's body, a light curtain suddenly appeared. The light curtain was perfectly round, shining brightly, and a mysterious and complicated pattern appeared in the light curtain. Lin Xun was startled. He didn't dare to step forward and looked up at the light curtain. It was at this moment that a clear and cold, emotionless voice sounded in this world. If you want to get close to the gate to heaven, you need to pass the test of the Tao Kinyan 9 Pass. The first level of Kinyan Tao is called Refining God. After passing this level, you can get the method of refining God Xiaoming Divine Art Seeker, and ask if you want to pass the barrier. The voice was slow and empty, and he didn't know where it came from, which made Lin Xun froze, and then he woke up. The gate of Tongshan, the 9-level pass of Kinyan on the Great Road, the divine law of Xiaoming. Could this be the secret that Mr. Lu said? Lin Xun's heart was agitated, and he almost thought he was dreaming.